That's
did that, messed up the songs, didn't give a fuck, and just had fun. So I had a blast. Yeah.
That's perfect. And then this is how we started.
And no audience got it. None of the audience got it, but I didn't care. I didn't care at all.
Well, because if it matters to you, it matters to you, right? That's what matters.
Well, I had fun, Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So this is how we're starting our podcast, the We're Gonna Make It podcast. You're a rock star, you're an improv host, you're a magical facilitator, and you're an actor. And you said yes to the We're Gonna Make It podcast, which I'm grateful for. Thank you so much.
I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
And I'm a magical facilitator.
I call you that because I've been in a camp with you as well.
Oh, yeah,
so
that's right.
I've had the chance to experience the magic firsthand.
You did, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I wrote some interesting things for us down, for everyone interested in your latest and greatest endeavors. They can see you and find you hosting workshops at the Ant Collective in Budapest.
Which is right here.
Right here, where we're recording this.
Yeah.
And you're soon to be debuting a play called Coober Pedy.
Coober Pedy.
Coober Pedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, pardon my accent. I didn't know that.
No one knows how to say it.
Yeah.
I think even Australians don't know how to say it.
Coober Pedy. Now I know that. Yeah.
Well, if you want to be really Aussie, you can say Coober Pedy.
Coober Pedy.
Coober.
Coober Pedy.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
More often than not, I get corrected, but on top of this, I will not be, because this is something I know for sure.
Okay.
You and your band will be playing on my birthday.
Your birthday?
Yes, at the magical place in the galaxy, the one and only ruin bar that I call the best ruin bar ever, Szimpla Kert.
Sure.
Yes. January 31.
Yeah.
And you will be playing. That's amazing.
But that's actually your birthday?
My actual birthday is February 1.
February 1.
Turning on the midnight. Yeah,
Okay.
I was born in the evening, right? So
We have to sort you out that night then.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Because I ask because my birthday is just a few days before, and our guitarist's birthday is just a few days after.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's going to be a big birthday bash there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's rock
Because
and
I'm
roll.
actually going to be celebrating my birthday there.
Wow,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
I'm bringing people over, so this is high five to that.
I like it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And on top of this, we're gonna talk about everything from directing, improv, music, and you, Tibi. So are you ready for this?
Yeah. There's one extra thing to add in there on the list of things I do. I also perform monthly in a improv-based macabre cabaret called Russian Roulette. So it's a Grund Theater production, and it's a very wild show. So there's also that. I also do that, and people can see me performing in that as an actor.
Everything you do is wild, by definition.
That show is really wild. Seriously, it is really wild. Yeah.
Congratulations for this. And I'm looking forward to seeing you there too.
Yeah.
Super cool. So, because the recency bias is in me, I'm going to have to ask you about the latest and up and coming things, the most recent things that are about to hit the, dare I say, the audience.
Yep.
So, Coober Pedy.
Yeah.
Did I pronounce it right? Coober Pedy?
Almost.
I'm sorry about
It's all right.
Yeah. So, what is it about this play that you made aware of, and what is it about this play that felt drawn to you?
Like why I was drawn to create this production?
Perhaps, yeah.
Yeah. It's a really, really good question. Basically, we opened this place here, the Ant Collective. For those in the audience that don't know, this place here is a place that was created to host projects that allow people to cultivate their creative side, that allow community to come in and connect, and also allow artists and facilitators to have a space at probably the most affordable rate in the city to develop creating community-based creative or personal development kind of projects. And then I also use this space in the same vein to run a lot of my theatre and improv projects. So we opened this place, it's a little over 18 months ago now. And
happy anniversary.
It will be 2 years in April.
Wow.
So in 4 months. So is that 18 months? I don't know. Yeah, something like that. So 20 months now. And thank you. And so basically, upon opening this place, a bunch of programs started, including the improv stuff. And I wanted to do a project which was the most, where I'm the most in my element as an artist. And that is group devised theatre, because that's what I've been doing since I was 18 years old, and doing it like intensely. And since I moved to Budapest, 7 years ago now, this will be the first full group devised scripted theatre piece that I've done since I was living in Australia, in Australia I've done like over 70 of them. I've done like
wow.
a stack of them. Yeah, that's where I'm the strongest, is in my theatre element of my side. So upon opening the place, we first opened the place, settled the place, did some warm-up workshops, and then come 6 months after opening, we launched the kind of Ant Theatre Company project, where we did an open call to the community of anyone who wants to come and be part of a project where we're going to create a piece of theatre that is meaningful and exciting for whoever comes and comes and joins the workshops. And so we've had, I would say, the first workshop was really big. There was nearly 30 people come and attend. That was an amazing workshop. And even there are scenes in the play now that are still originate from the very, very first workshop. So we found the core ideas very quickly, which was really great. And what to answer your question, what I was drawn to. So I was drawn to, number one, going back to my element of creating a community-based, group-devised work in which there was the freedom to, what's the word? To negotiate creatively as a group and explore meanings as a group, meanings and narratives that we want to say to others. This is a slow process, and this is something I love to do. So what drew me to the project was to go back to kind of my roots as a theatre maker or practitioner, and really get my teeth into it. This time, it's the first time I'm doing a project with no funding ever, so completely independently. The struggle with that is obviously...
By the way, this is so cool, because independent artists, I think, are the coolest artists ever. So it's like just saying that, so congratulations on making this happen. Yeah, thank you. What is the struggle?
Thank you. So obviously, you're not getting a salary and you aren't getting financial resources to do things. So you're doing it because you just really want to. In some ways, that's super liberating, because you don't have restrictions and you have freedom. And what's been really great is that the people who came and joined and became part of the creation process were really, most of them were non-actors. So what was important was creating a really, really enjoyable space, that coming here in the first place and creating and laughing and going into depth with the content came first for everybody. And so, I had plans that we might show some works in progresses like quite earlier, like maybe 10 months ago. And I just didn't feel it was ready yet. That there was more questions to ask. There was more to explore. There was more to uncover. There was more to shape it properly. And everyone was totally cool with it, because everyone was just really enjoying the process. And so that's one of the advantages when you're not on a timeline budget sort of thing, where you have to have an outcome by a certain amount of time, but you also have to balance that people don't kind of drift off, and like if a project goes forever, people kind of disappear naturally. But it's going super good. So I was drawn from, that was my motivation in the first place. On top of, it's not that I just want to do group devised work. Why do we do group devised work? And so a lot of my work is based on Augusto Boal's Theatre of the Oppressed, and that's where I got a lot of my training back when I was in my early 20s. And I had also...
You're not in your early 20s anymore?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Come on. You're very sweet. No. I could have a son in my early 20s, let's say that, right? the beauty of that is that when you follow an authentic process of negotiated group devised meaning, you get content that's very present, very current, and you get to uncover a lot of perspectives that you might not think of yourself, and that's the beauty of the process. So I wanted to also have, I would call it a luxury, to be able to have a group to work with, to let's go through as many layers as possible. And then also make a piece of art that's not like, hey, look at us, we're some local people, we made some theatre, isn't that cool? That wasn't enough for me. I also want it to be good theatre as well, and I want it to be exciting theatre. So yeah, they're kind of my motivations for the project, if that makes sense.
That does make sense.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you love working with groups, and I want to ask you about this because it's clear that you're drawn to group energy, and it's a good thing, I believe. So if you had to name it, what makes a really great group a really great group?
Yeah, I think there needs to be a super, like it needs to be fun, right? The environment needs to be safe. It needs to be fun. People need to be, and when I mean safe for the people to take risks and not be judged on them, because also like where you create an environment where you feel like you can be friends, or that, you know, in a good group you will become friends, that you're together, you're there to listen to each other, you're there to challenge each other. But I think friendship, fun are absolutely essential, and then safety and risk taking. I think these things really matter. Yeah.
You mentioned your training before, so I want to ask you about your training as well. What part of your own training most influenced the way you created the Ant Collective?
Yeah, great question. So basically, when I was 18 years old, I was in my 12th grade of high school, and for me, like growing up in Melbourne, Australia, actually wasn't I would say it wasn't the most nurturing feeling for me. I know that sounds really weird, right? But everything flipped like to the total opposite. So being half Hungarian, half Spanish, and Melbourne being like a hyper multicultural city might sound like a really good idea. Might sound like I could blend in, but I actually really struggled to. And the reason for that is because it's so multicultural. A lot of the ethnic and cultural groups end up moving into different suburbs in clusters. And so wherever I went to high school, there was usually 2, 3, 4, maybe majority clusters. And if you didn't fit into those groups just by identity, you would struggle making friends. So I really struggled in high school. I was really shy. I hated it when my teacher would ask me to read something, because I felt like, okay, no one here is going to accept me. I don't feel comfortable, probably going to get made fun of, might get into a fight at lunchtime, you know. And I was in plenty of fights, you know, not by choice. So I would be picked on. It's weird to say, but I was an outsider for a lot of those years. And my younger brother experienced it too, and he had a much worse time than me. I was not, because I didn't go to very good schools. I went to state schools. So, I wouldn't say the highest level of education, and, nothing there really to cultivate my artistic or creative side or to encourage me. They were kind of just like factories to spit out, okay, if you were really smart, you could, you'll get sent off to a university, and if not, maybe, they literally told us you can go and work in the Ford factory up the road, sort of thing. So they didn't nurture. And when I was 18 years old, I was in the 12th grade. A friend of mine, he called me over to his house to have a jam. I went to his house, and he lied to me. We weren't going to jam at his house. He took me somewhere else. Went to somewhere else, and it was a space like the Ant Collective, but bigger. It's called the Footscray Arts Centre, and it's in Melbourne. Very close to the city centre, by the river, view of the city, lots of green, beautiful place, and quite an old place. And he took me down. There was a rehearsal for a youth theatre production, and he goes, I'm like, what's this? He goes, oh, it's a play. I'm like, okay, and we're playing music? He goes, yeah, we're going to play the music for this play. And I'm like, okay. So I was sitting there confused of like why I'm here, what kind of music I'm going to play. But I was watching the directors and facilitators working with non-actors, youths, and they were an organization that worked with at-risk youth, migrants, refugees, that sort of thing, to create group devised theatre that would extract meanings from that group that individuals or as a group collective would want to say out to their community, you know, and create a dialogue out of that. So anyway, I was watching how they were working, and my mind was blown away. I was just seeing the way they were being so nurturing, encouraging, questioning, like, no, like, do you really mean that? Do you really want to say that? What does the character want to say here? And the way they give so much positivity. And I'm like, this is exactly how the world should fucking be. You know, that we should be taking care of each other, nurturing each other, asking questions, listening, valuing each other as equals. Like, I couldn't believe it. I'd never experienced anything like that in my life. But like, I immediately, in like 30 minutes, I'm like, who are these people? They are amazing. Like, I immediately connected with them. And so that production happened. 2 weeks later, I joined the next production. I asked if I could be an actor, although I had no acting experience, but I just felt so encouraged. Well, it was that, seeing how they worked and seeing, I just felt excited to be there. I'm like, can I now go and act in it? And they're like, yeah. And something flipped. I'd never performed before. I'd never acted before. And I just like, something exploded out of me. They made me the lead in the next play because because I was on fire. I discovered something that I didn't know I had. And that was really powerful. And so I was part of them for another year and a half. And at a year and a half, they had some funding from the government to pick 5 people under the age of 25 to train them up to be directors. So I was like about 19 years old by then. And go through like a 3-year training, and also, you know, get put on jobs to be assistant director and all these sort of things. So I got straight into that, and then I got my intensive training. It was amazing. I was sort of in the right place, the right time with I had the energy as well. And so I got to the point where I was literally every day of the week in a different school or community center or refugee center, running projects at first as like part of a team, as like facilitator, assistant director. By the time I was 22, like I'd done so many projects. They're like, okay, here's your first project as director, sort of thing. I was only 22 years old. And when I experienced all of that firsthand, both receiving it and finding something in myself of not just like, oh, well, here's something I like to do, but here's something I like to do where I can extract meaning, and I can like look at the audience and go, I'm saying this. I'm not just on stage playing the Wizard of Oz and trying to show that I'm a good actor. That's not what I'm trying to do. I've got something to fucking say here. I've got something to reflect in this character or the message that this scene has. And there's something about when theatre is done this way, when actors are part of the creative process, there's a different level of theatre that happens than when you have professional actors. Because professional actors can never exactly have that intention unless you're very, very fortunate where the actor's personal experience is very, very close to what's happening in the narrative, which sometimes can happen. But it's this, because it's somewhere between fiction and reality sort of thing. And so people are saying it, they're saying it for real. They're not just being an actor and just having fun. And so I experienced this, and I'm like, well, yeah, this is, and then I continued to do that for a long time, 20 something years. And then I moved to Budapest. I was finding my feet in the first year and a half. COVID came, COVID went. And then it was after COVID went where we started thinking about making this place. And actually the specific concept of Ant Collective, we were on top of a mountain on the island of Crete in Greece, in a small abandoned village, where the writer of
Lord of the Rings?
the Last Temptation of Jesus Christ, where he lived in that village, and we were brainstorming like what this place could be. And we spent a few hours going, it's a place to connect, it's a place to be creative, and it's a place to belong. And these are all the things that I experienced personally in all of my journey, and something that's given my life personal meaning. And so that's the reasons, that's the motivation for making the Ant Collective, pretty much. That's a long one. I'm sorry.
That's a good one. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I also want to ask you about like what beliefs people come with to your workshops, to the Ant Collective, that they may be in a position to like let go later, so that they learn something a new belief that has taken place that bettered their life in a way. And what is your personal experience with letting go of a belief that didn't serve you anymore? Can you share more about
What's
that?
the second one? What's my personal belief on?
What is your belief about a misconception or a belief people come to the workshops? I'm thinking improv workshops at the Ant Collective, that people come to these workshops with and they learn to let go of. And do you have some sort of belief that you learn to let go of as well?
Okay, yeah. With the improv stuff, it's really interesting because there's, I would say, two kind of groups that come to the workshops. And it's almost 50-50. I would say like maybe, it's almost 50-50. So there's local Hungarians, native Hungarians, and then there's expat community, which is quite broad. There are people from almost all the continents that come here. I'm the only Australian, so maybe I add that, but pretty much from every other continent, we have at least one person or two. So I find that the expats that come to the workshops actually come with a very open, very open mind. They don't really have many preconceptions. They're like, you know what, something in English, I can meet other people, I can have fun, I don't really know what this is, let's go and have fun. With the Hungarians, it's a mixed bag. There are some Hungarians who are like, okay, acting, I'm gonna try that out, don't know what it is. So there's a few of those. And then the other side of it is, I think there's, not all Hungarians, but a lot of them are in this zone of, okay, what are all the technical things and what's all the theory I can learn? And they want to like spell it out. They want to understand it like a program or a machine. And this is difficult with my style of running a workshop, because if I tell you all the mechanics exactly, you're not going to learn for yourself. Number two, and this is my personal approach to art, yes, there are mechanics to a lot of techniques, and yes, there's a lot of theory underlying all of these things. But especially when you're being creative, especially if you're doing improv, improv is about your instincts, listening, being present. Get out of your fucking head, right? And some of the Hungarians are trying to be, but the logic is not making sense. It's like, be present, feel, receive, give it back. And this is a struggle for not all or a majority, but there's quite a few Hungarians that are like, yeah, but is it making sense? What's this? But what about the next step, the next technique? And so the learning process I try to go through people is that run the workshop. I try not to explain too much about what's supposed to be achieved, and allow for a lot of reflection, because I think that's where a lot of the best learning comes from, and also a lot of the best learning for myself as well, because I will also keep learning from the feedback of the self-reflection from people that are in it. And I'm also a strong believer in not being strict to technique all the time and principles all the time, because I think to be an artist, there's always room to push a boundary somewhere. There's always room to go, yeah, I know, but you know what? I've got an inkling here, and I'm gonna just I'm just going to try something that maybe hasn't been tried, or maybe it sounds wrong. I don't know. Try it. And it's trial and error. I think when you're creative, just try. If you have an idea, try it. It might go against whatever values and theories or whatever. And then every now and then you might go, that's not supposed to be there, but that's pretty cool. What's that? Or, all right, it's not perfect, but something's there. And so I love to explore like things as well. And so that's why don't get too stuck. Try to feel free from a lot of these things. That's difficult for some Hungarians, sort of thing. For myself, what's something I have
to let go of and, learn an alternative belief. For example, at one point you believed you couldn't be an actor, but now you.
Well, I didn't even imagine it. It's not even something I imagined. It's not even something I thought. It's not nothing. Something that it wasn't even an idea in my head at all. It's not. I always loved stories since I was young, and so I thought I would be a writer, or like that's what you have pressure as a kid to decide what are you going to be. Right. Even when you're a child, what are you going to be? You better start thinking about it. Then you enter high school. High school in Australia starts in the 7th grade, so we don't have middle school. It's a different. So from the 7th grade, you've got to start thinking about it so you know what subjects you're going to do in the last years of high school, so you know what at universities. So you've got to know the next 40, 50 years of your life and make all of those decisions. I'm like, I don't know, stories, I don't know. And so I went and did a writing degree at university while at the same time I was doing this theatre training.
Hugh Jackman? Hugh Jackman also did like a journalism degree.
Oh, right. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know. He's Australian.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know.
In my mind, I'm like, was he like 2 or 4 or some years ahead of you and then we went to the same place? It's like, what are the chances? Yeah.
I don't know.
But please continue.
Yeah. So I thought, so I knew I liked stories, and so I thought, okay, probably I'll write, or something, somehow. Journalism is actually what I was telling my parents and I was kind of aiming for. But I didn't understand what that meant. And when I think of journalism now, I'm like, mainstream journalism, that's the last thing I would want to do. Oh my God, why would I want to work for the main media corporations, giving them edited versions of information for a specific purpose, which is the opposite of what journalism is supposed to be, which is searching and communicating the truth and asking a lot of questions. But I always loved stories and storytelling. And so where I connected with the theatre staff and the way they were working is they were extracting stories through lots of questioning in a very honest way. And I connected, and just seeing that I just asked, can I just be in the next one? I didn't think I would act. I didn't think I would direct. But what I always did want to do is be involved in storytelling, which is completely part of all of, being a theatre maker.
Mm-hmm. What do stories mean to you?
Sorry?
What do stories mean to you?
I think stories are, nice question. Stories are, I think, they capture an essence of the experiences we have in our lives. And we take that essence, we take that energy, usually from moments that cause us pain or we have to learn, or from our life experiences, and we transform that, usually but not always, into a fictional form, but sometimes documentary or something in between. And I think they're a kind of partial hybrid, I think, of self-therapy, because it's like, shit, what is my life meaning right now? Mm-hmm. And I've got some stuff I want to say, whether it's autobiographical or through the form of characters, with a kind of, stories that are passed down for centuries. Are basically chunks of, collective wisdom over time that we transform and modify. And you look at the ancient Greek plays or Shakespeare, and all that stuff is so old, and it's still, all of it's so unbelievably relevant right now, today, and will be for the next 2,000 years. Like, absolutely.
And beyond, yeah.
Yeah, and I think stories connect to who we are as human beings, what it means to have the human experience, what are the lessons and the pain that experience gives us, and a way of kind of communicating that to an audience in a kind of search for a meaning of what and who we are, and how do we navigate our way forwards. I don't know, something like that.
That's a really good answer. I like that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So you are a storyteller, and you are also somebody who's a director.
Yeah.
And you shape people's performances for the better.
Yeah.
So what elements...
Or worse, I don't know. Maybe I'm fucking them up.
Yeah, but I was just gonna ask, so what part of or what element of this role, the director's role, do you like the most, or what is the most rewarding part of this director role for you?
Asking questions and learning. Because I go into the projects with a very loose, very, very open perspective. Like, I have no idea. Like this show, Coober Pedy, that's coming up, when we first started, I had no idea what this was going to be about at all. But I knew, just keep asking questions, and so that's what I really love. It's like, when I'm directing a scene, I love to ask questions to find out, okay, and because it becomes a dialogue between myself and the actor or actress of like, do we believe this? Is this authentic? Especially if I'm working with someone who's very different to me, or I'm going to make it very simple, male to female. So there's a scene maybe about a woman who's just had a miscarriage, and then there's the next thing happen, and then I'm not going to assume that I know exactly how that female character is supposed to act, because how the fuck will I really know if I'm very honest? I know, and so I'll go back and say, okay, and I'll ask also the other females watching, do we believe that? Is that authentic? Do we want to add something else there? And it's a learning process for me. So number one, that, I really love that. I really love the fun that we have, that, when something great is created, like on the moment, like especially when you're first coming up with the content and someone's just put, a group has just put on a scene for the first ever time, and the rest of the group's just watching it going, wow, oh, that's cool, fuck yeah. That feeling, that initial spark of creativity of like, okay, some scenes worked, some not so much, some we're not really sure, and then a scene comes out, and not just the performances were great, but it's like, what's going on there, and you're leaning forward going, what's happening now, and you want to know. That feeling's very, very exciting. And then obviously when you come to performance and it all comes together and you get to share it with an audience, you get the feedback, there's the kind of celebration and the joy, and I guess you're reaping the rewards. But I love the whole process, to be honest.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you're doing a good job at it. I'm looking forward to Coober Pedy as well. So best of luck.
It's a weird one. It's going to be a weird one.
I believe you. You say it, and I totally believe you. Yeah. Moving on with the new subject matter, over to the topic of music. I write and produce songs as well, which is a cool hobby, and I know you do too. Yeah. So I want to ask you about this. What makes the process fun for you?
Well, because I'm a bass player, I don't really sit at home and write songs like someone with a guitar or a keyboard or piano. My songwriting process has always been as a collective. I love getting in the rehearsal room with the band, and we'll just start jamming. And it might go 20 minutes and it's sort of like we're just trotting along. It's kind of like whatever. And then really cool moments pop up. It's like that, again, like what I said before, the spark of something new being born in that moment that just makes you feel awesome, and you record it. And after that first time, and the phone recording is shitty and there's technical mistakes or whatever, but you listen, in the first few days, you just listen to that recording like 30 times,
of course,
over and over and over, because you're like, wow, we just made this. It's so freaking cool. It's so cool. It's so cool. Even though it's in its like very rough draft stages, that, that new birth of some new creativity. So I really love that. I love performing live with music. That's really, because that's the moment where you can just close your eyes, be super present, and just feel all the music going through your blood, through your veins, and just, I love that. I love that feeling so much. Like I could do that every day for the rest of my life.
That's awesome.
Honestly, yeah.
That's awesome. And so I'll ask you an amazing question, because you not only make this about you, but make it about other people as well. Matter of fact, as far as I know, you also help great musicians and great bands find their stage to play. Is that true? Still true?
Yes, it's true. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so I want to ask you about this. And when did you start this?
Wow. You mean for bands that are not my own band?
Yeah.
There's two parts to the question. There's the kind of prototype version of me doing it, and then there's the modern day version. The prototype version was maybe when I was around 21, so it was in my early days of theatre making. The Victorian government, so the Victoria is a state in Australia where Melbourne is, and I'm from Melbourne, Australia. I had a government funding initiative where every municipality, so every council in the state, which is like 80 of them, would have a bunch of funding to have people under the age of 25 get together, be a committee with a bunch of money and organise local gigs. So I joined one of those and I learned how to put on shows and promote shows, and I did that for a few years, and then I got a job as the person running that and then training other young people how to put on shows, and that was a sort of prototype version. But in the meantime, I'd been playing in bands and I'd been booking gigs for myself and managing my own band and booking tours and all that side, and I'd played a lot of tours, like 30 tours in Australia back then. That was part one. And then I moved to Europe the first time, which was 2010 to 2012. And I had nothing to do in that first year. And about halfway through that first year, so it was getting into 2011, I was like, I didn't have a band, but I'm like, hey, I loved organizing shows for bands. And so I started managing some smaller bands. And then there were some Australian bands coming to Europe, and I knew the managers, and they asked me if I could help them with shows in Budapest. So I started doing that, and then they were asking, could you book a European tour? And I'd never booked a European tour, but I'm like, yeah. Of course. So I did in the end, but it was a huge learning process. And then I started doing a lot of stuff like that, and then I slowly got into booking tours, booking shows, promoting shows, management. A bit later on, working for a label as well, and getting into lots of different aspects of the music industry. And I still do. I don't book tours anymore. I can if I want to, but it's a lot of work. It's very stressful. Money's not great unless the artist is really, really big. But I give all the artists my list of hundreds of contacts in Europe and go, here you go, try. I try to connect people with other artists. I organise a lot of shows in Budapest of a lot of international bands, and I have a few management bands that I work with as well. Pretty cool. Yeah.
Kudos to you.
Thanks. Yeah. Music industry is difficult, to be honest. It's a difficult place to survive, and I mean, being independent, especially now, being independent is the only way you can, for you need a few records in before any label or serious company is going to take you on, because you really just need to build up digital numbers on streaming and followers and that sort of thing. So I do get pleasure from seeing music that I love and seeing it develop somehow. So if I could participate in that in some way, I'm usually very happy about it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So Tibi, I know you have a bunch of stories to share, but we only have a limited amount of time, so I want to respect your time as well.
No worries.
So, which leads us to the final question. It's a recurring, question in this show, but may lead to wall. So if it leads to wall and we don't know how to answer this, I apologize. But this is like a cool question, I hope. So yeah, the question is, what is the question you wish more people would ask you, and how would you answer that?
Well, I don't know how to answer that. But you did say you have a lot of stories to share. I really have a lot of stories. I'm not sure which ones should be shared. to be honest. But I can give you a crazy story. How about that?
Okay.
I have a lot of stories like this. Yeah, because it's on the thread of everything else. 'Cause I really don't know how to answer I don't know what I want people to ask me. But I do notice when I meet people, or even who does ask me questions. I don't need a lot of questions, but then I know this is someone I can have a deeper relationship with. Mm-hmm. And because there's a lot of people, it's often where we're just waiting for our turn to speak, mm-hmm. and we're not really listening. And it's not a lot of people do it, but the ones that do actually take their time to even ask me one question, I'm like, wow, that's, I really admire when someone does that, because like this one person's making an effort to actually get to know me. Because I don't think it happens with everyone. But I'll give you a story. How about that?
I appreciate it.
In my early days of working in the Footscray Arts Centre, and I was starting to get employed to run theatre projects, and a lot of them were in schools or youth centres. And the school I was running a project in was a school that you go to when you're kicked out of every other school in Melbourne, and no other school will accept you. So kids with pretty rough lives. And we were having a rehearsal that day. In 2 days, we were meant to have the show on. It had been a difficult process, but we were getting there. The main actor who was meant to be there wasn't there on the day to rehearse. He was in court that day for some crime that he did. And we were hoping that he wouldn't get locked up so that he could be in the show. And I was learning his lines. I had to do that a lot, by the way, learn people's lines, because they might not turn up on the day. And it's happened before for a multitude of reasons. Mm-hmm. And there was already a bit of nervousness in the air. It's like, like he's not here for it. I'm like, no, don't worry, it's going to be okay. And there was one kid in it who he wasn't sure if he wanted to be part of the project or not. For the whole process, he was like in, out. And then on this day, he's like, you know what? He thought, I'm going to fuck it all up. So we were rehearsing a scene, which was 4 characters in a car getting ready for a bank robbery. We always did stuff like this, and getting ready for a bank robbery. And he was behind one of the actors, and I was filling in the lines for the main actor next to him. So I couldn't see the kid that wanted to jeopardize everything. What he was doing, he was poking his finger into the back of the other guy while we were doing the scene, but I couldn't notice. And the guy who was, his name was AJ, who was getting his back poked into, at one point, he just lost it. He's like, fuck. And he picked up a chair, and it was a room like this, and he threw it like with full force across the room. It smashed against the wall, split in half, picked up another one, threw it the other way, split it again, and he ran out the room like Animal from the Muppets going, he had like long hair like me going, like this. And then all the others, where it took months to build up their confidence and all this, and we're going to go there, they're all like, oh no, this is not going to work, this is fucked, and they're all like leaving, while the guy who was poking him, Tristan, his name was, and he was like,
oh my God.
like, yes, like that. And it was just me and another colleague on this project. And, my colleague got to me, he's like, you know what, we've tried really hard. This is the school doesn't expect us. The school understands. It's like, this doesn't happen. And I was like, no way. And I was like, so I spent that whole next hour and a half, like talking to them all individually, saying, no, you know what? We're going to make this work. Like, I believe in this. Mm-hmm. I believe in you guys. This is a cool story. We have to show it. We're like, we don't have to, but I want to. And if you want to, then I want you to be with me. But like just doing this. And I think some sort of like semi-miracle. The guy that did it, I gave him the choice. I said, you can do it, but you've got to be on board, and you've got to apologize to everyone. And if you're not sure, it's okay. You don't have to be part of this, but you need to decide. And you really, and you can't mess us about like this.
What did he do?
He goes, I'm not going to be part of it. And then he came to the show. The show ended up happening. It was awesome, really, really awesome, because you're talking about kids where they're on the last line. They're really on the last line of everything, and anything might happen to them. And so them creating they're on stage with stories that are parallel to their lives, not about their lives, but very, very close to, with meanings to them. It's very, very strong. It was a very, very powerful show. He came, he watched it. And then at the end, he came, he congratulated everyone. He said, that was awesome. And he goes, I'm going to join next year. And he came and joined the next year and the year after. And he was like really fantastic in it. But that day, I'm never going to forget. I'm never going to forget the chairs being split in half against the walls, him running out the room like Animal from the Muppets, and the next hour and a half of me just going, we can do this. We actually can do this sort of thing. That was, yeah. But no one would ever know how to ask me that. But I have a ton of stories like this, and then I have stories I probably shouldn't tell. But yeah,
Tibi, this has been an amazing joy talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing all this.
Thanks.
And we can do another one hopefully in the near future.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cheers.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And cut.